Hi, I'm Biology Studies on Instagram, and I'm going to be showing you the notes I took in 2017, and I'm going to be sharing my study tips along the way. So if you enjoyed what you saw today, you can always follow me at byeology.studies on Instagram to see my updates and everything. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I just wanted to show you a quick overview of what I use. So this is a Daiso pencil case. It's semi-translucent with a black zipper and a little dinosaur keychain, which I bought from a $2 store near me. So yeah. Next, I have the whole set of friction highlighters, and I really like them because they're really nice and pastel, and I do prefer these over the matte liners. So, and they're also erasable, which is really handy. So next I have my 3 matte liners and fluorescent green Stabilo highlighter, the conventional one, and I really like them. And I use them when I annotate and highlight my textbook, which you'll see in the later part of the video. Next, I have the Muji ruler, the 15cm one. And I have some colored pens. I usually use a 0.5 clicker Muji pen or the Pilot Juice pens in 0.5 and 0.38 tips. Then I have the Tombow brush pen. I'm not sure the full name, but yeah, it's by Tombow. And I have a correction tape. Next, I have a monster of a pencil case, which is also from Daiso, and it houses my Tombow dual tip brush pens and Saddler fine liners, which I use a lot in my notes, mainly because there's such a wide variety of colors and all the colors are really pretty. So usually I use the Tombow brush pen for headers, like titles and stuff, and the Saddler fine liner for subheaders. So this is what my biology textbook looks like. It's written by the teachers at my school, and it's very helpful in my learning, and I really enjoy the biology textbook because it helps a lot. And then in the textbook I have a lot of scribblings, and this is when my teacher is going through the textbook and she says a lot of extra information, and as she explains I understand a little bit more and I write down my understanding, and this helps me when I do my own self-revision, and when I look through the textbook I know what I understand. So this is Stabilo green highlighter, and I use it to highlight key terms and their definitions, so I know what key terms to use in my answers. And I use the gray matte liner to highlight other information, and I use the blue matte liner to highlight headers or titles. Here's just another example of how I note down stuff, and this is when we were learning about biotechnology, and I just wrote some notes down of what I understood. So here I just have some PowerPoints that my teacher uses. Another tip I have is that when you're going through PowerPoints in class with your teacher, annotate and write down what you understand, what you don't understand, and write down questions so you can ask your teacher for help. So here are my tips for biology. So number 1, make sure you remember keywords. Sometimes in textbooks there will be bolded words, and those would most likely be the words that teachers are trying to find in your answers. Sometimes if you don't have them, the teachers might not be able to even award you marks, even if your understanding is there. So make sure you remember your keywords. Number 2, for processes, making good notes will allow you to remember them easily and allow you to be more clear-headed. Using a step-by-step basis, break up the process into steps. This really helps me remember processes such as reproduction, photosynthesis, etc. And this is useful for essay and process questions. Number 3, mind maps. Mind maps allow you to really see the linkages between different components or concepts of a topic. While making mind maps, make sure you are forming linkages in your mind to what is related to what. At the same time, memorizing the key terms and names of the important processes or components. Remember, in biology, understand concepts, memorize key terms. And also remember, structure affects function, as this is a recurring theme in biology topics. Number 4, if you're an auditory learner, reading the material out to yourself helps. I like to practice by pretending I'm teaching someone. If I can explain it well so that I understand and I'm not getting confused by what I'm saying, I understand the material. But if I'm unable to do so, it means I still need more time to revise. Another possible way is through videos. I'll link a few channels that I use to study biology in the description box below. Number 5, make sure you know what you don't know. Go through your past papers, questions, and cross-check with the answers, and ask yourself, what went wrong, how could I have gotten more marks or even full marks for the question, etc. Cross-checking allows you to be more certain to what you don't know and how you should phrase your answers, because in biology, phrasing is very important. And if you have any questions, you can always find your teachers for help, or friends. In the past 2 years, my biology teachers have been amazing, and I wouldn't have been able to be so motivated without them, as they're always answering my questions 24/7. Lastly, just enjoy the process. Biology is a pretty hard subject to score well in the first few times, so just keep working hard and find the correct study method that works for you. All the best! So the next subject is chemistry. Chemistry is one of my favorite subjects of the year because it's so interesting and fun, and this is the textbook that I use with all the topics that I've gone through labeled on top, so it's easy for me to find the topic when I'm revising. The way I annotate and highlight my textbook is almost the same as bio, but for chemistry it's more of my understanding, because I feel like chemistry is more dependent on understanding than biology. And as you can see, the highlighting is the same, keywords green, the other stuff in gray. So yeah. What you're looking at now is the revision booklet my teacher gave out before our year-end exams, and usually during the school year we have tutorials, assessments, assignments, and all of that. So a tip I have is do your work consistently. This is something that really transformed my failing grade 2 and A. I used to never do the work my chemistry teacher gave out, but this year I realized how important it was, because it allows you to check your understanding at that particular point in time, which is usually during the time when the topic is still being taught or has been taught, and this gives you ample time to seek help if needed, and it won't snowball to the exam time when you'll be stressing out. So here are my chemistry notes, and I have some tips for chemistry. So number 1 is understanding is extremely important. So I usually have 2 kinds of notes, in class and summaries. The ones you're looking at now are kind of like a mixture of both, but the nicer ones are usually summaries, and the ones that are like online paper are in-class notes. So the in-class notes are just more information my teacher gives us, or my understanding when my teacher explains. And this usually helps in my self-study or revision to know how I understood the information when my teacher went through it. And my summaries usually consist of what has been taught in class, my understanding, and what is provided in the textbook. So my second tip is remember important formulas or definitions, etc. Usually there's definition questions, and formulas can really help when you have calculations. So my last tip is seek help. Sometimes chemistry is very hard to understand based on what the textbook says. So ask help from friends, teachers, even go for tuition if you're able to and if it's needed. Always remember to seek help whenever you need, because it is okay to not understand certain things the first time round, so don't be too harsh on yourself. Just make sure that after you seek help, do the necessary measures such as finishing up the incomplete or wrong questions related to the topic and cross-checking the answers to see if there's anything else you don't understand, and if needed, seek help again. So here's how I store my science notes. So usually I have these 2 like black file folders that I put into the binder when I finish the school term. But when I'm still having lessons, and I just use this folder, which is kind of like a ring binder type of thing that you can like rip the little plastic pages out, and then you can just like put it in, and this really helps with me staying organized and keeping my notes, well conditioned. Now it's time for history. I'll be showing you my secondary 3 and 4 history notes, and the notes I did over the December holidays in preparation for my history module next year. So the tips I have is number 1, use timelines and mind maps. These allow you to visualize the scheme of events that happened in a certain time period, allowing yourself to know what effects certain events might have had on those that happened after it, and also allows you to be more clear-headed with memorizing the dates of when things occurred. Number 2, use understanding. A lot of people think that history is all about memorization. While that may be partially true, history is also largely dependent on understanding. Some main concepts I usually follow are cause and effect, change and continuity, and significance. These concepts, usually when once understood, can be applied to different questions, and instead of memorizing, for example, model answers, using these concepts to answer questions and phrase your understanding is really important and can save you time and brain space. Number 3, treat it like a story. History to me is like a storybook, and just like those old fable tales of Little Red Riding Hood, Hansel and Gretel that we never seem to forget. This is because they are stories and they contain a flow. So just like a time frame with many historical events taking place, you can treat it as if it's a story. This will allow you to better remember what happened, leaving you to only needing to link the important or tested events to their dates. Number 4, plan your essays ahead. If you have an essay test, think of the possible questions or topics that could be asked, and write out the thesis statement and evidence to be used. This will allow you to be more prepared to what might come, and it will also reinforce your knowledge about what has been taught, allowing you to have a better understanding about the link between the thesis statement and the evidence, which will allow you to have a better flow when it comes to your elaboration. Overall tip is to do more practices. Practice makes perfect. And another thing is to find joy in what you're studying, and you'll find that what you're doing won't be such a chore anymore. Remember to enjoy the process of learning, because even though sometimes it may suck, but overall it's a wonderful thing, and I think it's a privilege to be able to get an education. Good luck and thanks for watching!